chit chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Rhino's got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the King's Court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the King's shining star.
It's the day y'all have been waiting for. No, not the King's Court leaving and being canceled, but Celebrity Row. Now, I could have easily walked this back, considering the change in circumstances that is going on. Us heading to Fox, Grant heading to Fox, me being in the King's building more often, but I'm not. I'm doing it for all of you. We started it, so we have to finish it. If you don't know what Celebrity Row is, you better tell the ones that don't know in the chat right now. If you are a regular around here, we are going to debate who is going to be on Celebrity Row this year for the Kings. As you can see, my beautiful graphic right here. I gave you some names that we've kicked around before. We've got Chuck Norris. We've got some regulars, 50 Cent. The Situation, he's hanging. What's up, Sitch? Barry Bonds, Master P. Is that the Hoff? Hold up. Is that the Rickroll guy? So yeah, we're gonna see, who do we think will be on Celebrity Row this season? Man, I can't believe we're doing it. We are doing it. There is some other news, kind of news, I guess. Did you see the beam last night? We can talk about that. If I know John Finch enjoyed the beam, but I would say some unsavory news coming out. Dennis Schroeder with some more troubling quotes. I'll let you guys be the judges, but based upon what he said at the trade deadline last year, after Luka was changed, I don't know how I'm feeling about his mindset, to be perfectly honest. And another guy opened his mouth and weighed in on something he had no business weighing in on.
Oh, yeah, they're upset.
Urban Meyer, idiot. Talk about the definition of a glass house. The pot calling the kettle black. Urban Meyer's going to weigh in that the NFL should punish Jim Harbaugh? Come on. Herb, just stick to your Fox responsibilities. You are lucky to be on that show. So, Herb, why don't we see if anybody weighed in during your different controversies? Unreal. Also, unbeknownst to me, Corn Dog is alive. Did anybody see Grant's show last night? Corn Dog's alive, and he's kicking. He's well. Grant did like 15, 20 minutes with him. Crazy. Corn Dog, I thought maybe you got hired to a Division III volleyball program, being a scout. I didn't know what happened to you, man. Maybe you got thrown in the food court and you've just been working doubles every single day. But then I got a message from Patrick. Since we are counting down the days, tomorrow will be the last day of the daily live show here on YouTube and X for the King's Court. Everything carries on the same on the audio side. We'll be on Spotify, Apple, as we are right now. But we're counting down the best moments that have happened on this show. And Patrick reminded me of one of them that involves Corn Dogs. So Imran Pilati was on the show. Owner, he does an hour of radio a week, big card name here in Sacramento. Roseville Cards and Collectibles, I believe, is the name of the store. And Imran was nice enough to come on and talk about the business of cards, just the growing, I don't even think it's right to call it a hobby anymore, the growing business of cards. We didn't look at that during our time growing up as a business, but that's what it is. It's a business. I shared my experience a couple weeks ago with taking my son to the same card shop that I grew up in and the owners being there and it just being a wonderful experience. So we decided to take calls. I said I would open it up to all of you. I said, I don't want it to be one of those things where it's like, hey, Emran, how much is my card worth? And holding it up to the camera. But if you had questions about the hobby, if you had questions about getting shares of cards, yes, that's a thing. Like a stock, you can buy a share of a very expensive one-of-one card. I have no idea how it works, but you can do it. And the first call, and I'm setting the tone for the show because we have a guest. The first call I go to is Corn Dog, and he does not disappoint.
Part of the deal.
Wow.
The Major Sports said, wow, what a beautiful slice. It's bigger than what we were getting before. We'll do it.
Hell
and
yeah.
they pulled it. So all of the licensing will move to Fanatics and Topps in the next 2 years, and Panini's going to be on the outside looking in. So
very
walk.
interesting.
Lame duck.
Very interesting. We bring in, well, this is Corn Dog to us. Corn Dog, wake up, my man. Thought you had a question.
Whoa, he was sleeping.
You were sleeping? What are we doing?
Man, I'm out of it, man. Last night.
Hold up. Dude, you know what he was dreaming of? It just hit me, Ash, what Corn Dog was dreaming of. He was dreaming that he was in a mosh pit, and it was a karate style mosh pit. Check this out. Look at when he comes to. You were sleeping? What are we doing?
2 years.
Take it back a little further.
On the outside looking in. So
very interesting.
Lame duck.
Very interesting. We bring in
the karate chop.
Well, this is Corn Dog to us. Corn Dog, wake up, my man.
Look
at that question.
Whoa, he was sleeping.
You were sleeping? What are we doing?
Man, I'm out of it, man. Last night was rough.
Wake up!
I didn't go to bed till like 12 last night. No fireworks got to me.
Only here on the King's Court. Anyways, what's your question for
Oh
Emerald?
no, so I'm actually more into the video game collecting side of things, and that.
And Corn Dog ended up sleeping through the part where I said, we don't want to see your games one by one. And he proceeds to start showing his games one by one. That was one of the better moments here on the King's Court that has happened organically. I will go over the schedule for today. I'll let you know what else we've got to get to. There's news with Hulk Hogan that I think is newsworthy that we should talk about. Is that going to be on the schedule?
It is no my schedule.
I think we'll get it on the schedule. We're going to talk about Malik Monk and this just really bizarre story that's developed this entire summer about wanting to move off of him based off of where we started at the beginning of free agency and what we knew about that and we talked about. And then even you look around and people are saying, Michael Scotto, was it Michael Scotto or was it Fisher that said it? But basically, the only team that's looking at Russell Westbrook right now is the Kings. The Sacramento Kings are the only team interested, it was Fisher, in Russell Westbrook, according to NBA insider Jake Fisher, Bleacher Report. Westbrook is an unrestricted free agent. We know that. Quote, we are still waiting to see what other moves could come from Sacramento before the Kings try to bring in Russell Westbrook, Fisher said. And if the Kings don't bring him in, check out how Fisher finishes here. Honestly, that's the only home we've heard from him. The most likely outcome for Russell Westbrook, if he's going to be in the NBA at all. So Dennis, keep banging the drum, man. I guess there's enough there to talk about, but we'll get to Monk in a second. I want to get to your comments. Again, if you're just joining us, thanks for being here on the King's Court. We're ramping down our live shows because we are ramping up. Grant is back September 2nd here in Sacktown. I know most of you know, but if you don't, Grant is back in Sac on the radio, and he's back to win. We are back to win. Fox Sports Sacramento 104.7, 890 AM. Make sure you download the KSAC app. You can find it on the Apple Store, Google Play, wherever you get your applications. September 2nd, circle it on your calendar. September 2nd, 3 o'clock, the return of the Grant Napier Show. It's a show you are not going to want to miss. Trust me. Trust me when I say you are not going to want to miss that show. We will be Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Radio. So that is why we're winding down the live show here. Now, as for this channel, it doesn't change anything. This still is going to be here. Grant will be here coming on after radio shows. King's Game Day programming is going to get that much better. As we do the post-game shows, which we will continue. There probably will not be pre-game shows, but here's my call to action for some of you. If you're one of those people that wants to get into this business, has been trying to get into this business, that's paying their dues, that's doing their reps with maybe 2 or 3 people watching, but you're still working harder than ever, you're looking just to get one more view the next day, keep doing it. Because who knows, that pregame show, that 30 minutes might become open on this channel. That's my show. I control what happens with that show. So keep that in the back of your mind. If this is something, if you are a really good caller, somebody that is comfortable getting in front of the mic, getting in front of the camera, can make that commitment, keep practicing. That show might be coming. So want to encourage you there. So, all right, to the chat. Let's get to it. Tristan, hey guys, get those B and C list celebs ready. Yeah, you start with the Hoff. There you go. By the way, went to Knicks games in the 80s, saw many celebrities at the Garden. Yeah, that's actually how you judge whether the Knicks are good or not. That's like really where the quote unquote celebrity row thing became a thing. Pretty cool stuff. Also with the Garden and Patrick comes the New York Giants fans. There's crossovers there. Giants in action tonight. If you didn't know, they're playing the Patriots at home. New York is foaming at the mouth for Jackson Dart. Just foaming at the mouth. Grumpy Cat, why are you grumpy, man? Come on, dude.
Hey, Champ, you there?
Wake up, Champ. We want Sir Charles. We'll see. Tristan, Jeremy Lamb. Okay. You think he's going to... we're going to do the row in a little bit. We will do a formal thing. We've got the paparazzi waiting outside the studio. They've got their cameras set. We've got reporters waiting to ask questions. So we will do that probably about the top of the 4 o'clock hour. We will start Celebrity Row. You guys are already getting them in early. No, Adam, okay, let's try not to get me canceled too much. Corn Dog on the John Cena retirement tour. That might be decent. Yeah, I'm just glad dude's alive. That was hilarious, though, when he fell asleep. Like, come on. Corn Dog, wake up. Even Dennis didn't fall asleep during his call with Grant. Although it might have had a better outcome, he didn't fall asleep. I don't know. I can't knock Corn Dog if she's working. I mean, you can't knock somebody for working. D, what's up, man? How's it going? And didn't mainly ask about... Yeah, exactly. Tristan, that was the thing. He slept through everything that I talked about. I'm like, all right, get in, get out. We don't want to see your entire collection if you have questions. And can we try to keep it to cards? And maybe I slipped in collectibles, and most of you kind of thought, or you knew what that meant. Because Emran was giving away a signed Malik Monk jersey for the channel when he came on. And Corn Dog, he just took it a different way. You know, he slept through it. So he didn't hear the instructions. Corn Dog, we got to get it. I'm kind of sad. Like, I get it. Oh, Grumpy Cat. I don't really know. I think you made me look up Grumpy Cat. I don't remember Grumpy Cat that much. I'm not disrespected, but this show is definitely better with Corn Dog. If anybody can bang the drum and get me Corn Dog before this show ends on a daily basis live on YouTube and X, that would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hate it when the paparazzi follows me. Enough already. Yeah. Dude, can you imagine though? Like, for some people, when you hit that level of fame, you kind of are in prison to a degree. You can never really experience or have a normal experience in public unless you're hiring like 200 people around you to act like extras. That, or you're at an amusement park by yourself, you and your family, which is cool, but it's also an amusement park. Like, how fun is it to go watch a movie, a funny movie, with the entire theater full? Like the day it comes out. That used to be so cool growing up. Everybody's rolling, laughing. It's not fun if it's just like you sitting there. Yeah, that's funny. Ha ha ha. And you're laughing by yourself. I don't know. There's a different paparazzi. Like MJ was at that style or that point. Michael Jackson. Who else? T Swift is there. Did you see the numbers when she came on Travis and Jason's podcast? Incredible stuff. Like, who do you think actually, and let's be real, let's keep it within the sports and entertainment realm. I don't want to get into political figures, but who do you think is the most recognizable person on the planet right now? Who is that? Is it T Swift? Is it The Rock? Who do you think that is? Hogan was up there, and unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Hogan. Really bizarre circumstances around what's going on with him. I mean, even more bizarre than the Baylor coach.
There's a scene in The Wolf of Wall Street when they're talking about throwing midgets, and it's like, you know, hey, this midget, can he, you know,
Dennis, what did I just say,
there?
bro?
And you go, no, he doesn't roll. You throw him. You know what I mean? And they're made for throwing.
There's stuff to like push back on me, Dennis, and there's stuff not to. If I say don't bring politics into it, don't do that. Do you know what that does to the chat? Come on, dude. Seriously. And then he doubles down. Dennis, one more political figure, and you are going to be blocked for the day. I mean that. So, dude, respect the show and respect the host, please. Thank you. Thank you. I said sports and entertainment. Adam giving it to Dennis. Let Dennis lie. No, Jake. Jake, not a chance. Not a chance. Absolutely. Will Grant on his new show take calls? Yep, absolutely. Grant will be taking calls. Okay, Dennis, I said outside of politics. What is there anything ambiguous about what I said? Anything? Come on. Like, that would have been a good spot to say Westbrook. Like, if you want to be the smart, take it from somebody that was the smartass for a while. The quote-unquote jungle rodeo clown that I didn't know what I was going to do, but something I was going to do would be idiotic or come off funny on the Jim Rome show. Pick your spots that way, my man. That's good content. If I'm asking who's the most recognizable person in the world, that's where you put Russ Westbrook or Jonathan Kuminga to drive home your brand. Man, Dennis, dude, don't do that. You know, Dennis, I'm not trying to come down on you. And I feel like now I have a son and a half. I've got my son and Dennis because you're swimming upstream. It's been you and me having a conversation around 130 other people on X and YouTube the last week and a half. But dude, because it takes one political name to light the chat on fire and just take the chat away. That's why I put that out there, dude. Come on, man. Come on, Dennis. And I already have heavy content that I wanted to get to. Let's get off of that for a minute. Let's talk about the tweet that came out from NBA Central. This to me just makes no sense at all. The Sacramento Kings are reportedly trying very hard to trade Malik Monk to open up a roster spot for Russell Westbrook. Yes, you can make a mistake, but not that mistake. When I am that clear, that's when I'm going to come down on you, my man. I feel like Kuminga thing isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. The Warriors have already resided. They have given up on that point. They've been fairly transparent through reports that they are keeping him. And why would you move him to move him? Steve Kerr doesn't want him. Ownership does want him. Ownership will probably win out in that situation, but you at least wait to get a deal that's worth doing. You're not going to put a square in a round hole just to get him off the roster because the coach wants him off. But getting back to the report here from NBA Central, at the start of free agency, in fact, it was right before free agency, we know of a meeting that happened between Scott Perry and Malik Monk. And Scott Perry assured Malik Monk that he was going to be here. He wasn't going to be traded. Something changed between then and where we're at now. And if the Kings have had Westbrook all along up on the big board, then where was the swerve? Was it thinking you were going to be able to get off Devin Carter? Was it thinking you were going to get off DeRozan? If you get rid of Monk, I've explained all along what I think his energy means to this team, what he brings to that second unit, also what he brings out of Domantas Sabonis that up until this point, nobody else has been able to do effectively with the pick and roll game. You are giving up a lot there. Malik, in many ways, is that guy that pushes back at the right time on the coaching staff on behalf of his teammates that don't want to push back. And if it's a cost-saving measure, and that's what Scott Perry is looking at it as, you better worry about these things that you're seeing. Because you got rid of Valanciunas to get off of what, $5 million with Saric? So if Scott Perry is going to get off Valanciunas with the center position that thin and no guarantee that Isaac Jones was going to pan out, and there still isn't a guarantee that IJ is going to pan out. And by the way, they've been asking IJ to train as a 4. They want him to push more to that 4 spot, work in a corner 3 to his game. Your centers today are Eubanks, Sabonis, and Max. Max is going to need a couple years. Max is not nearly as ready as Neek. And I can tell you, where that line is at. Their bodies. Their bodies. Neek's build is NBA ready right now. Doesn't mean it can't improve. But Max is going to need a couple of years to bulk up. He's got to get on that Keegan Murray training plan. He's going to get pushed around defensively. He might be able to contribute offensively, keep the ball moving. But that's your center position. I would be very concerned if you get off Malik Monk for Russell Westbrook, especially when 29 other teams, according to many reports, they don't want him. They're not interested. And here's another question. How much are you going to be paying Russell Westbrook? Paying a guy that nobody wants except you? Well, you paid Schroeder 17.7 per year. I know the third's not fully guaranteed. I think what you're also, here's the reality of the situation too. If you want to be real about it and you want to break it down to a fundamental level, you have got to look at what realistically could come from some of these moves. I asked Jerry Reynolds this week. I said, Jerry, if the Kings are having a successful year, will Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, or Dennis Schroeder be upset about their minutes? Answer was yes. Monk's happy to play the sixth man, but Russell Westbrook, for as well as he bounced back and played in Denver, he only had one option of playing in Denver, and that was fitting with Jokic, Murray, MJP, Aaron Gordon. He's going to come into Sacramento and think he's old Russ, in my opinion. He's going to want to start. He's going to want minutes. It's going to be some feisty practice. I can tell you that much. I'm looking forward to that. You are going to have guys bent about that starting point guard position if Russ Westbrook comes in. You might still have that now with Schroeder. If guys are out playing Schroeder. To give up on Malik, Malik Monk is on a very fair contract, in my opinion. An extremely fair contract for what you get. And if you want to go to the negative side of things, yes, he has not finished the last two seasons. Yes, his three-point shooting was down last season, but his assists were also up. At one time, he was in the top 10 in the NBA in assist to turnover ratio. And everybody's three-point shooting across the board was down. So as we look at this Kings, it's not a retool. It's not a rebuild. This Kings push where they're straight up stuck in the middle between the two. They're the kids that are in detention. They're the kids that are in purgatory, where you're good enough with the big pieces to probably contend for a play-in, but you're not going to be, if you were to make the playoffs through the play-in, you're not going past the first round. It's very unlikely you're going past the first round. And so now with the draft, you're not getting the high draft pick and you're in this circle, right? So if I'm looking at Malik Monk's contract, you can, and I'm not happy about it, but you can sell me on Valanciunas and why you did it. If it is simply a salary dump to sign Russ for a 1 year max deal or a 1 year veteran minimum deal, to just put a Band-Aid on this thing for another year, I've got a problem with that because I think Malik Monk has value. He doesn't have value right now because teams like what they have, as far as we know. But Malik has the potential to bring back better value than just being a salary dump to get Russell Westbrook. It doesn't make sense. This would be one of those moves. We circled Valanciunas. We circled it and we're like, kind of iffy there. We like the draft. Dennis Schroeder, people are mixed. But this to me would feel like Scott Perry. He's got a plan, clearly a plan. He thinks this team would be closer to rebuilding than retooling if you bring in Russ right now and get rid of Monk. I actually think the Sacramento fans, if you got rid of Monk, I think you would get a lot of pushback. He has been that guy in the community. He's won the Kings Community Activism Award 2 years in a row. I get that doesn't, mean more than what he does on the court, but to a fan base means a lot to a fan base. So it's just really unsavory. And a lot of you are kind of feeling the same way that I am about why you would even think about doing that. Because if teams are not interested in Malik, that means you're forcing him down somebody's throat. It's very weird. Very weird. And to have enough faith in a Russ, you have downgraded in the backcourt. If you lose Malik Monk and your backcourt is now, you lose Malik and De'Aaron and your backcourt's now Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook. At that point, you know what? Actually, you know where I would sound the alarm? Here's where I would sound the alarm. If he gets traded and I'm Domas, trade me. I don't want to be here. I think that would push Domas much closer to making that call to his agent. And I know Domas really likes the draft picks. He looks good. He looks lean. He had a lot of positive things to say about Scott Perry and the administration, and there's clear lines of communication. This, to me, would not be a clear line of communication. This would directly hurt Domantas Sabonis' game. Mac, what's up?
Well, Kings are just doing it again. I mean, I really feel that this is just another like Vivek thing, and that he just put in a guy who would just do his bidding as the general manager. I mean,
see, I disagree. I disagree with you.
No, you want to know why? And here's why. The fact that you're gonna go, we all know Russell Westbrook is washed. He's not okay. Let me rephrase. He is not the Russell Westbrook that is going to take a team to the playoffs. He's not a superstar anymore. He's a good player, but he's not a superstar. You're telling me, like you said, you're just gonna dump Malik Monk and not be patient and find a suitor? This is just like it sounds like Vivek wanting to go and hang out with superstars again. I don't know. And tell me why you disagree.
No, you make a valid point on the back end of that, but
because it's not smart in my opinion.
Mac,
it's not a smart move.
Mac, Russ is not the warm and cuddly type that's going to be warming up to an agent, especially on a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you paid him a penny over the veterans minimum, that would be an even bigger problem. I just don't. This to me is like a Scott Perry thing because of the way that Scott Perry targeted Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder, I don't want to say is similar. I would say there's more similarities if you look at him and Russ strictly as a point guard. I'm not talking about their athleticism. I'm not talking about anything but how they operate as a point guard. Their games are a little bit more similar than different because both are sometimes a shoot first guy. So to me, it looks like Scott Perry, and I've said this all along. I think it's a 2 to 3 year plan. It's to get through that Zach LaVine contract. I don't know how you justify it to a fan base.
How do you? But it doesn't get you better.
No, and
So you're just moving to make moves. And here's where I think it might be owner related. Remember how I said this team is boring, and it wouldn't, like, if you wanted to. I think they should do the best they can to rebuild, right, and just completely tear it down. But in a rebuild, it's nice to have a old Vince Carter or an old Russell Westbrook. One, because they're a veteran, and two, it brings it gives you a reason to go out to the game. Hey, I got to see Russell Westbrook play. But they're not doing either. I just don't get it. Like,
well, they can't really do either. You know what I'm saying? That's why you're stuck in. That's why I said there's two groups of kids on the playground. There's one group of contenders, the other group of taking a year off because of making a run for it last year, or guys that are going to be missing a season. And then there's the third group in detention, where you're just teams don't want the pieces that you have. You don't have very much money to work with. I mean, the only blessing of this offseason was the fact that you got Nick Clifford directly tied to that De'Aaron Fox deal. And I have a high hope for Max as well. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a future all-star, but I think he fits well into the way Doug Christie wants to play. Outside of that, I mean, it's you can't go do something. You don't have the money.
Well, so here's a question I have. If you now have 2 point guards, let's say you get Russell Westbrook, you now have 2 point guards, right? Where does that are you going to force Keon Ellis at shooting guard?
Well, you know what? That's the wild card. And that's what Jerry and I have talked about. That's what Grant and I have talked about. I've said the wild card is Keon and his handle. Did he get a better handle over the season? And that's what makes things complicated. Here's the other thing.
And the thought is, so here's my thing. Maybe the Kings don't have hope in Keon. So then why not go? And I know I've been saying this all the time. Well, it seems like Keon would make the Kuminga deal go. If that's what you truly think, that he didn't get his handles better and that you don't have confidence in him.
I didn't say that.
No. The Kings, if the Kings believe that, why not then just make that Kuminga deal? And I like the Westbrook move if you were going to get a Kuminga, because I think that makes this team a playoff team with all the talent. That's just my thought. So what do you think?
I disagree.
It makes them less disposable. Okay,
you're trying to put all these guys that used to be number ones on a team, or B, guys that you think could be number ones that haven't panned out. You're putting ones on the court together. You need to have a team. You don't like it. That's why, like, with a draft, if you had an NBA draft where a team could make 12 picks in a row, they're not going to pick the 12 best players in a row. You can't do it because they don't fit. They don't mesh well together. And that's where the Kings are missing the cohesion. You need guys that play roles. The best thing Doug Christie did when he was brought on as interim is he lined the guys up one by one. And I remember sitting to Grant and I said, the guys need to know what their roles are. Period. End of story. And Grant's like, no, they don't. He disagreed with me. Doug lined them up one by one and said, this is what your role's going to be. This is what your role's going to be. This is what your role's going to be. Kevin Huerter, all of a sudden, he knew exactly when he was fine coming off the bench. He knew exactly how minutes he was going to be playing. He knew when he was going to be coming off the bench. You have to have that type of fluidity. And I guess what I am proposing to you is you're trying to put names on a court that are recognizable or have a high upside. That's your spaghetti at the wall.
Well,
When
like
you're
you said, there's only so much you could do with the contracts. That's why I would say, like, you're in a position where you're making, what's the saying, something on a lemonade or whatever. That's how, I mean, that's what my only train of thought or brainstorm can think of, if that makes sense. If you want to compete, that's just me. I wouldn't object to them trading Domas right now, Monk, all those keys for draft picks. I wouldn't object to that though either. That's how I would do it, and then that way you could develop while you have that Levine contract. You can let those rookies just play for 2 years or whatnot. I don't know.
I hear you. Appreciate it, Matt. Good call.
Take it easy.
Yep. Here's the deal. I have been, and y'all call me a Keegan lover. You say that I make excuses for Keegan Murray. Go ahead and do it. I don't care if you do that. Keegan has never been featured offensively. Yeah, thanks, Adam. Lightening the mood. He's never been featured offensively. Ever, ever, ever. He's improved at everything the Kings have asked him to improve at and excelled, especially on the defensive end. Anything that you do this year, to me, and I thought I was encouraged by what Scott Perry had said in an interview where he's like, we need to get Keegan at the 3. We need to get him more involved. We need to see what he can do. The last thing you want to do is get rid, especially if you want to be a defensive team. And that's the trouble with this team. That's why this is such a back and forth. Well, it would be exciting to do this. Well, it's going to hurt that. Scott Perry says we want to be able to play both sides, but we want to be a defensive team ultimately. Hey, quick quiz to the chat. Quick quiz. Is Doug Christie an offensive or a defensive coach? That didn't take long. Defensive. So where do you meet in the middle? Clearly, the way the team is built today, it's got to be an offensive team. But this team that's built today is not a winning basketball team. It's not a deep team. So then I take a step back and I look at what guys could fit in with every other team in the NBA. Every other team in the NBA, without a hesitation, unless the contracts were awful, would take those guys. You've got 2 of them right now. You have Keon Ellis and you have Keegan Murray. To me, this year has to be about featuring them, not saying you're running plays for them, but you have got to know what you have in them. You know why? One is going to be a restricted free agent. No, a complete free agent, excuse me, unrestricted. The other is going to be restricted and is seeking an extension. Those 2 guys can switch. Keon can guard 1 through 4. Keegan can guard 1 through 5. Those are your glue players. Those are those pieces to a puzzle. Now you add a Sabonis that's an all-star, okay? Debatable whether you want to continue down the route with Domas after this contract. Mac just said trade him now. But go with me here for a second. As you're looking at the roster as we sit today, Nate Clifford, from what we saw in Summer League and everything that I have seen, he seems like he's going to be a basketball player. Does not mean he's going to come out of the gates and be Tyrese Halliburton or Tyreek Evans. What I think he is going to be is a guy that forces Doug Christie to play him for 20 to 25 minutes a game. He sees the floor well. He has a high basketball IQ, which is something this team lacked dramatically last year, was basketball IQ, especially after the trades. So now you have a third piece. That is a glue piece. I don't want to bring in players that are washed, that are old, to play. If you want to bring in a Vince Carter, as Max said, that maybe for the fans, that was great. You've got Vince Carter on your bench, and he's going to be mentoring the young guys. Kind of what you saw last year with Jay Crowder, who was excellent at that role in mentoring Isaac Jones. He was huge for Isaac Jones. If you want to bring on Russ Westbrook to do that, great. That's not why you would be bringing on Russ Westbrook, though. You're bringing him on to play. And guess what? You don't have Jokic. You don't have Murray. You do not have MJP. You do not have Christian Brown. None of those guys are walking through the Golden One Center for 41 games a year to play with Westbrook. Everybody forgets what Westbrook was playing with. He was the guy that everybody hung off of. And he took advantage of it well. He wouldn't be that guy here in Sacramento. So while you want some of that to rub off on the young guys, you don't need another guy, and I mean this with all due respect. DeMar DeRozan came into Sacramento he did exactly what DeMar DeRozan is supposed to do. You got exactly what is, quote unquote, the DeMar DeRozan experience. It just didn't mesh well with the way the Kings wanted to play, and it also put off Keegan Murray's progression for another year. Keegan was now a lost thought. It's not a coincidence the three-point shooting on this Kings team. If you want to say, well, damn, Huerter, 27%. What's going on with Huerter? If you have your one guy, two guy, the three-point shooting across the board was awful, and there's a reason for that. The ball was stopping. I can't explain it to you. You'll understand it if you've played the game of basketball. But one of the rare qualities in players is players where their offense, how it's going, if they're playing well, playing bad, that does not affect their defense. The defense is always there. That's a rare quality. The second quality is guys that love playing defense. You have two of those in Keon and Keegan. But when you run up and down the court, regardless of it not affecting your offense, if your offense not affecting your defensive game, but when you are going up and down the court and not touching the ball for 6, 7, 8, 9 possessions, and then finally you get tossed a wide open three, which half the time the passes were poor, you miss. There's something about not touching the basketball. And that is exactly why when the Kings went on their 9-game run, everybody was touching the basketball. So getting back to the bigger point, if you're bringing in Westbrook, that's another stopper. Because again, he's coming here to be Russell Westbrook of OKC. He's not coming to Sacramento to be end of the bench, sit back, mentor the rookies. You're putting more conflict into the situation when really, for me, the biggest thing that can come out of this season is a clear path forward that this organization can see, the fan base can see, with a guy like Keon Ellis, a guy like Keegan Murray. Because I can promise you those guys are winning basketball players. You don't have to, in Keon's case, run plays for him. For part of the season, he led the Kings. He might have ended up leading the Kings. I don't have the stats in front of me, in three-point shooting last year. And you didn't ever have to run a play for him. If he was open, he would shoot it. That's a role. And he plays great defense. That's a role. Keegan Murray, you know he can play a role. He's done it the last 3 years, and quite frankly, he's been asked to play 3 different roles. And so bringing in DeRozan, that was a step back for Keegan again, as I said. So to me, bringing in a Russell Westbrook, you're taking another step back for Keegan. Bringing in Kuminga and a Westbrook, you're taking a step back for Keegan. Kuminga, maybe that step back's fine because that guy might be, I've heard him compared to possibly having the potential of a Jaylen Brown. Nobody knows because of what happens. If he does work out, at the very minimum, you do know Keegan can still play a role on this team. That's undebatable. But when you're making a decision about what a guy is worth and what their value is going to be, with a guy like Keegan Murray, that you got to get that number right in this CBA. You have to. That's why I think he is the most important player to be looking at this season. Hands down. Hands freaking down. You're going to have Neek banging at the door for opportunities, which is fine. He should. But look, I would hope Scott Perry had that conversation with Dennis Schroeder, signing him at that much money, that we need you to run a traditional point guard, because that is the wild card with this Kings team. Kings fans that want the optimism, here's your optimism. Here's the ace up your sleeve. You have not seen this group of players play together with a true point guard in a year and a half, 2 years. Actually, maybe 2 years, because Fox played closer to that, the Beam Team year. Maybe the point guard is what was wrong. What we do know is wrong is you're asking players to play out of position. It's what you're doing. It was clear the second half of last year. It was point guard by committee. Did Zach LaVine look comfortable bringing the basketball up? Did Keon? Did Devin? Not really. You got to do what you can do to get guys back in position, and Schroeder's got to play the truest point guard that he can play. If you're open, you got to take a shot, but he's got to keep that ball moving, because the best version of the Sacramento Kings that we have seen over the last 3 years is when the ball moves. Westbrook, stopper. Kuminga, I don't know. Zach LaVine, for the most part, stopper. DeMar DeRozan, stopper. My only complaint about DeMar DeRozan is the toe on the line. Seems like it was happening every single game. Outside of that, I've got no problem with him. So if you want more basketball that looks like the play-in game against Dallas, bring in Westbrook. Do it. I'm sitting here in this seat hoping that Dennis Schroeder doesn't end up coming in more like a Markelle Fultz, where we're thinking, great, we've got a point guard. Yes, he hadn't played in the NBA for a minute, but because it was an injury, he can defend. He's got a decent body. What did Fultz do when he came in? Shot, 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 shot. Ball stopped. Now, he made some of them. He was aggressive. But that's not the Schroeder that you need coming into Sacramento. You need the point guard version that's running pick and rolls, that's seeing the floor. Because I can promise you, from what I've seen from Nate Clifford in Summer League, that guy sees the floor probably as good as anybody on this Kings roster right now. And I think that's something too that Scott Perry is kind of thinking about. We've heard enough of it. I said, I think eventually he'll be able to play the point. And I wonder if Scott Perry is still thinking, all right, well, he can play a little more point too. So it's a very complicated situation, but you can't invest in pieces that are going to take you away from developing, understanding, knowing, growing what could be future pieces of the puzzle here in Sacramento. You just can't do it. You can't put Keegan Murray in the backseat anymore. You can't. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying Keegan Murray is going to be an all-star, perennial Hall of Famer, going to bring you a championship. That's not what he does. I think Keegan Murray could be a double-double guy. Every game. I think it'd be maybe an all-star one time, two times, but he's a guy. Go look at every team that's won the championship in the last 5-6 years. I guarantee you'll point out a Keegan Murray part that's just like Keegs in the way that he plays. Lou Dort, anybody? If we want to be narrow about Keegan's game, Lou Dort for Oklahoma City. It's just, I just feel like you're going a completely different direction. Even for Malik's, what's Monk supposed to make this year? It's like right around 17, 18, or 19. It's between 17 and 19 this year. How much further do you need to get under? It's not like you get extra money for being extra under the cap. That doesn't get you a higher draft pick. What's the subsequent move? It doesn't work. It does not work. And I've been highly, highly complimentary of Scott Perry since his press conference after the first round of the draft. I felt like that was the first true introduction of Scott Perry to Sacramento. I liked everything he said. I liked his logic behind it on why he took Neek, why they got back into the first round, because that pick that was a first round pick was likely going to translate to 2 second-round picks. San Antonio will be in the playoffs by the time that pick comes due. So that was brilliant. And then he did the exact same thing the next night, getting a guy in Max that's almost played out his eligibility, a guy that's older. Scott Perry knew you could not fill every hole on this team with the money that was available. He knew that. You needed rookies that could possibly play some minutes. Neek can play some minutes. Max will play some minutes. How many, to me, is the big question. Paul, remember who was guarding Curry multiple times than LeBron? I remember, and I will tell you, I think I said it on the post-game show. I brought it up with Jerry. I have never seen somebody recover quicker on Steph Curry than I have Keon Ellis this last season. He went for a pump fake, and he was able to get back in the play and block the ball. It was an incredible defensive play. You had also Keegan Murray chasing him around for 23 seconds of the shot clock. Really wants to succeed. You guys are talking amongst yourself. DeRozan was taking Keegan's spots too. Yeah, and I guess that's the long-winded point that I'm trying to make is if you're trying to develop, Devin Carter, if you're trying to develop Keon Ellis, then you're gonna bring in. You'd probably bring Fultz back. You don't bring in Russ Westbrook. You know, Russ didn't do Coach Malone any favors, by the way, with that whole situation about Coach Malone getting fired. Now, it wasn't by any means completely Russ's fault. But Russ is Russ. He's a competitor. He's just built different. He's one of those guys that only knows 100. He doesn't know 65, 70, 80. It's 100. So you bring him in, that's going to take minutes away from Keon. That's going to take, because you're bringing him in to play. And if you don't play him, what's the locker room going to be like? I already have concerns about the locker room. As we sit, you know what's making me feel relatively good about the locker room with this group of players? It's Malik Monk. It's Malik Monk. And now there's this push to trade him. It just doesn't make sense. As John Finch would say, it's hard to connect those dots.
Don't make no sense.
Speaking of Schroeder, let's get this in really quick. So at the trade deadline last year, and I hate that I got to talk about this. I'm tired of talking about this stuff, but Schroeder continues to do it. Here's what, and by the way, in some of these, we're going to have some drops throughout the show that do have some strong language. So I will give you some advance notice on those because it gives context. It's basically an exact quote of what somebody said to another. So that's why it's in there. But Dennis Schroeder last season at the trade deadline, after Luka was traded, I'm not sure if all of you heard about this, if none of you heard about it, if some of you heard about it, but we're going to recap it because we brought it up when he said it. He compared NBA players to slaves. He compared NBA players to slaves. Here's exactly what he had to say during the offseason.
Talks about his current teammates who are also in trade talks. He says Wiggs almost won an FN Finals MVP in 2022. Now he's on the trade block. Kevin Looney won 3 championships here. He was one of the keys to winning the championship. And now he's on the trade block right now. I understand for the first year, second year, but after a certain time, I don't know. They have to write something in the CBA to get something fixed a little bit. Then Schroeder talks a little bit more about the effects of being traded. At the end of the day, your salary is the same. You go to a different city, of course, but at the end of the day, that's not a real problem. That's a luxury problem. It's always exciting for you guys, probably. For me, being in my 12th season, business is business. I got my own team in Germany. I know how it works. For me, it's a business at the end of the day. Then Schroeder goes on to say it's modern slavery at the end of the day. Everybody can decide where you're going, even if you have a contract. Of course, we make a lot of money and we can feed our families. But at the end of the day, if they say you're not coming to work tomorrow, you're going over there, they can decide that. They got to change that a little bit. He follows it up with, but still grateful that we are here and that we can live this every single day. I think everybody who's in here is blessed. But if you really think about it, it is kind of crazy that an organization can tell you, we want you to be team first, but you're going over there.
I can imagine a lot of people of any color being offended by that. Dennis, my man, California, at will employment. How many of you are at will employees where your employer can say, yeah, we're done. We're going to go a different direction. It's part of the world. It's how business works in most situations. And many of us deal with it at a much lower pay rate. And so he tries to blend those two things in, right? that I'm grateful, but this is modern slavery. Although you're signing your name willfully to a contract. And this was just at the trade deadline again. It's what he had to say. So the reason I'm recapping that is because the FIBA tournament is going on right now overseas. And he was asked about the honor of being able to be the flag bearer for his team. Quote, "I'll never receive the same love in Germany as Dirk Nowitzki because I am dark-skinned." He said, "I was already sitting in front of the TV at 14 when Dirk Nowitzki carried the flag at the 2008 Summer Games in Beijing. Back then, I thought, how cool. There's no greater recognition," said the current captain of the national basketball team in an interview with Stern today. Quote, "Today, however, I know it's a great honor, but it will never be the same for me as it was for Dirk. I will never receive the same love in this country because I am dark-skinned." According to Schroeder, Germans have certain ideas about how stars should behave. He said he never fit the mold, especially when, as a young man, he treated himself to expensive watches and luxury cars. Quote, "I made mistakes. I'm not perfect. Still, it's wrong to judge somebody you don't really know," Schroeder said. Quote, Schroeder, "This is a societal problem, and social media only makes the superficiality and hate stronger." End quote. The 31-year-old said. Last quote. "The fact that I was able to carry the flag doesn't make this story any better." End quote. I'm not going to break down the comments. I think everybody certainly will have their own opinion about his comments. But the things that I pick out from this, and remind you, this is the point guard, the number one point guard the Kings wanted in free agency. But when he's talking about Germans have certain ideas about how stars should behave. First off, I have a really big problem with you putting yourself on Dirk Nowitzki's level. That's my first problem. Is it really the color of your skin, or is it Dirk was that much better of a basketball player than you? Remind me how many teams Dirk Nowitzki played for? What was it? One? The second thing that it truly does bug me, and here's why it bugs me. Dennis is what, now on his 10th? I can't even keep track of what the Kings are in terms of teams in the NBA, but he says, I've never fit that mold. I don't want to behave as I am supposed to behave. And so, while there's two sides of the coin, as Jerry Reynolds pointed out, well, there must be something good because 10 teams wanted him. The other side of that I've pointed out, others, Grant points this out about many people. He did it about Kuminga. Well, there's a reason Steve Kerr doesn't want him. There's a reason Dennis has been on so many teams. Your point guard is supposed to, Grant calls it the quarterback of the basketball court. Your point guard is supposed to bring you closer together. Supposed to bond you. not bring you further apart. And so for back-to-back consistent quotes like that, it really kind of bugs me. Doesn't bug me because he's bringing politics and culture into sports. It's just I don't. I'm worried that this guy sees himself as a little more than what he actually is. So to fit the context of the conversation that we are having today about Russ Westbrook also coming in, who we know he didn't defer one bit to Kevin Durant when he was playing against or with a player far superior than him. I just don't like those two driving the ship. I don't. Sorry. Got to be honest. So that is what he had to say. He also said they're going to win the Eurobasketball tournament. So yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that? Does that bug you? Is it a nothing burger? Let me know. Give Dennis a written disciplinary action. Yeah, it's everyday business, my man. Like everyday business. It's the whole Rick James thing from the Chappelle Show. Like, nah, I don't remember I wouldn't stomp his couch. Yeah, I remember stomping my feet on his couch. You know, it's that whole thing. You go back and forth. You compare your employment in the National Basketball Association, like 1%ers of what you do, generational wealth. To compare that to what he is, it's just it's disgusting. So I don't know. I'm trying to get a handle on whether the Schroeder and Sacramento thing is going to work. Scott Perry likes it. A lot of you like it. Just having a hard time wrapping my arms around what that locker room's going to look like if you do trade Malik Monk, which is what kicked off this entire conversation. I miss Liv as much as you do. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Giants. It stinks that she's going to be out as long that she is for something like that, but I get it. Keegan Murray's defense has been improving, but when he's in games and not scoring, who is that helping? Dave, Keegan Murray, where do you want me to start? I mean, he fills up the invisible stat sheet, number one. There's all these things that the coaches track, the team tracks, getting to corners, deflections that you don't see on the box sheet. He is right up there with everybody. But also, Dave, look at what happened when Keegan Murray wasn't in the lineup. The Kings couldn't stop a nosebleed. Do you remember the night where Keegan was a late scratch against Denver and DeMar DeRozan had to play Aaron Gordon? And the first 4 possessions, they just threw the ball. They went high-low over the top to Aaron Gordon. It looked like a freshman team playing a college team. That's how important Keegan Murray is to you while he's on the floor. He's also one of those guys that can switch multiple positions defensively. If you want to have the conversation, if you do, about his offense, we're here for it. We can have that conversation. But the defense, he would be, if the Kings would have been a top 6 team, he would have gotten votes for defense, probably all first deep. He would have been on one of the defensive teams, all defensive teams in the NBA. So it's the real world, man. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah. Look, that's the thing. And in Sacramento, That's not going to get you very far. You just can't do that. Didn't know, Rhino, when you're 1.5% of the population. I don't know what that means, Dennis. I don't. As I'm looking through the chat. Yeah, he's bringing the positive vibes. Hey, I don't want to. I've never been around Dennis Schroeder. I've never been in a locker room that has Dennis Schroeder in it. I have no idea what kind of guy he is. I am going off of what he is saying in the press. That's all I am going off of. You can draw your assumptions from there. So, all right. Few other things that we got to get to. If you're new to the show, thank you, by the way, for being here. Grant, I should tell you as well, is going to be back tonight again at 7 o'clock. Make sure you join him. If you've been on vacation, you've been at a cabin with no internet or phone access, Grant Napier, he's back in SAC, September 2nd. Mark it on your calendars. Fox Sports Radio, 104.7, 890 AM, 3 to 6 o'clock, Monday through Friday. Grant is back in SAC to win. So make sure that you go follow Fox Sports SAC, KSAC on all the socials, and download the Fox Sports Sacramento app, available wherever you get your applications. We are pumped to be debuting. There are big plans for September 2nd, big plans and huge plans for the show altogether. But you are not going to want to miss September 2nd, 3 p.m. Grant comes back officially to Sacramento, reclaims the market. I know a lot of you are excited about that. I am very excited as well, which is why this show is going to be ramping down from a live perspective. Will not be Monday through Friday. We'll get together once a week live like this, but then daily you'll be getting audio. And it's going to be much different than any other season because I will be credentialed this season with the Kings. So you're going to have a lot more player interviews. You're going to have a lot more post-game access. And speaking of post-game, this channel, we are still continuing to do post-game shows. Grant will still do shows after the radio show. So this channel will still be here, and it's going to be back and better than ever. I can promise you that. We improve the post-game every single year. And if you've not been a part of one of our post-game shows, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you check those out. We've had up to 30,000 people join those shows in past seasons between YouTube and X. 30,000 live. There's still a big segment of Sacramento that has no idea Grant has been doing this channel. So do we have any more Corn Dog clips? No, you know what? It's a good time to reset, Corn Dog. It is road time, so we're going to transition to. It is a good time to reset, Corn Dog. So as we wind down the live version of the King's Court on a daily basis, we've been playing some clips from the past. Last show, we played the trip home from Dallas. So you can check that out on replay or Spotify, Apple, if you would like to. It was one of the more polarizing stories here on the show for a while. But as we look back at some of the other funny moments that have happened since February 2024, can't believe that. Long time to be doing a show like this. Very blessed. Thank you for all of that. Corn Dog, who popped up again. And by the way, the Corn Dog thing is so funny. Thank you, Helicopter, very much. We are pumped about it as well. I'm so pumped to be a part of Grant's team as his producer and on-air contributor. But Corn Dog popped up. And if you're wondering how he got the name Corn Dog, Grant accidentally called him Corn Dog when he came onto a show. I think it was right before the King season started. And so then he started putting Corn Dog in as his name. And I would recognize it as Corn Dog. I'd be like, Corn Dog, welcome to the show. And Grant would refuse to say it. And one time I dropped the Mike Gundy on him when he came on the show. You know, the Mike Gundy? I dropped that on him. And I kind of got the look from Grant like, dude, we don't do that to our viewers. I'm like, bro, it's not about how he looks. It's his name's Corn Dog. It's not exactly healthy food. And so ever since, Grant will not call him Corn Dog, but he goes by Corn Dog around here. Popped up yesterday for Grant's show. Good to see him, Corn Dog. If this gets back to you, I would love to have you pop by tomorrow. But we had Emran Pilati on the show to talk sports cards and mostly cards, some collectibles. And we opened it up to phone calls. I knew that Corn Dog, being the daily caller, he was kind of like the Mac back then. I knew he would kick things off the right way. Here's how it went down.
For the deal.
Wow.
The Major Sports said, wow, what a beautiful slice. It's bigger than what we were getting before. We'll do it.
Hell
and
yeah.
they pulled it. So all of the licensing will move to Fanatics and Tops in the next 2 years, and Panini's going to be on the outside looking in. So
Very
kind of a walk.
interesting.
Lame duck.
Very interesting. We bring in, well, this is Corn Dog to us. Corn Dog, wake up, my man. Thought you had a question.
Whoa, he was sleeping.
You were sleeping? What are we doing?
Man, I'm out of it, man. Last night was rough.
Wake up!
I didn't go to bed till like 12 last night. Those fireworks got to me.
Only here on the King's Court. Anyways, what's your question for
Oh
Emron?
no, so I'm actually more into the
He tries to play it off as a 4th of July thing. Yeah, I had too hard of a 4th of July. So I called into a show and fell asleep in the waiting room. Look at the karate chop when he wakes
Lame
up.
duck.
It's incredible. Interesting. We bring in, well, this is Corn Dog to us. Corn Dog, wake up, my man. Thought you had a question.
Whoa, he was sleeping.
You were sleeping? You know the funniest part of that? Emran and I, we were talking, and we were like, we should have let him go. We should have seen how long he would be asleep until he would have noticed that he was live on the show. So anyways, a lot of you here, we're playing back the hits since we wind down, and tomorrow's going to be the last daily live show for the King's Court here on YouTube and X. Y'all started, somehow we started talking about Vivek and some of the celebrities that he has had at the games. Super random. 50 Cent. In fact, I think 50 Cent was asked who his favorite player was, and he didn't even name a king. He named somebody else, and then he had to walk it back. Floyd Mayweather's been there. Barry Bonds has been there. Now, some of the other faces have not. The reason, Master P, he's there. He's been there. Some of the other faces have not been there. But what happened on this show was we said, well, if Vivek is meddling, and this was going down right in the middle of the Monty stuff and, the coaching stuff. If it's in the Levine trade, if Vivek is meddling, like, what do we got to do? Like, what does a GM have to do? And the answer that we came up with was a GM either has to be a yes man or a GM's got to play the game better than Vivek. He's got to play it better than Vivek. And then the viewers came up with a third alternative. They said, what if we just put more B-list celebrities around Vivek at the games? And then you just roll that party out of the game and you take it across the street to the Sawyer. And then you roll that party down the Tower Bridge to Sutter Park for the A's. And at some point, maybe Vivek will forget about managing the Kings.
Is your team.
And so Celebrity Row was born. Everybody started commenting on who would be the best B-list celebrities to keep bringing to Sacramento. Eventually, we had to put a moratorium on it. We couldn't even get to one row. We had to make a second row. So now, seeing as the show is going away on a daily live basis, I'm going to open it up to you again. Hit us with the best celebrities that Vivek can bring in this season. I've even got the paparazzi here in the studio ready to take pictures. Got people asking for poses. So hit me with the celebrities. Hector, you want Alex Len? All right. Nissan Minjan. I don't know who that is. I think Carrot Top. Like if we had to do the Mount Rushmore of Celebrity Rows, I'm going to go Carrot Top. The couple that was next to you on your flight back, no, they were not. And excuse me, that couple is Chuck Norris. That's Chuck Norris and Carrot Top. No, they were not next to me. That would have been worst. I do have an executive, Adam, Kevin Johnson, Charlie Sheen, okay, DeMarcus Cousins. Wouldn't that be interesting? DeMarcus Cousins came back. I do have one addition that I want to throw out to everybody. He's not necessarily a celebrity, but he has been an extra a couple times in a movie. And when you have these many celebrities hanging out in one spot, like this many, Vivek's going to need a personal assistant to manage the schedule. You know, somebody's got to keep the party moving. So I am going to, and this is not at will employment, I am telling him right now that Haunted Horse will actually be Vivek's assistant on Celebrity Row. You never know what's going to happen with Haunted Horse.
How big is your man?
You know, he'll keep them interested. Dewey Harper, Weird Al Yankovic, Michael J. Fox. How about Brutus the Barber Beefcake? Definitely would like Rick Astley there. You know, Jack doesn't go to as many games. You think Jack's taking that invitation? I don't think Jack's taking that invitation. I don't think he is. You know, one guy who took that invitation. Sorry, Romy. Sorry, brother. Romy, you were on that row with Vivek. I should have put
Feel
your
good about
picture
yourself,
in there.
Ryan. You're just a part of the King's Court.
Yeah, William Hung. I love that one. William Young. Yeah, or William Hung. She bang. She bang. Do you think William Hung ever caught on to the fact that people liked and bought his album and voted him onto the show because his singing was that bad? Justin, I don't know. Is she bringing Sean Merriman, who recently got in trouble? Again, Cheech and Chong, I don't know. You think Vivek is okay with what those two would be doing? I could tell you Haunted Horse would have to order a lot of food and papers. Keep them coming. Hornswoggle. Can Hornswoggle bring Microman? That would be awesome. Taco Bell Chihuahua. All right, we can do better than this. Come on, I opened this back up. This like took up an hour of a show. Do I need to? Is Celebrity Row closed? Are we going to shut the party down? It's the best we can do. Dang. Got to think hard for like those really good B-list celebrities. I guess we're not there. I guess Celebrity Row is burning out. Yeah, that was funny, by the way. Jerry, Mr. T. I couldn't believe that Jerry said that place as well. That was funny. All right, well, you know what? I'm disappointed. Disappointed. Ran out of gas. This show got too serious. Yo quiero Taco Bell. How about the Rally Monkey? The Rally Monkey? Does he want some? No. There's Celebrity Row. It ain't going to be catered by Taco Bell or the dog. Bennett's, though. Now you're talking. Rockland, Roseville, Howe and Fair Oaks, prime cuts, seafood, and steak. Spin the wheel, pick the day, and there's a special going on at Bennett's every single day of the week. You've got happy hour. As it says, American cooking. If you want the best steak of your life without the massive price tag that comes along with some steakhouses, Bennett's is the place for you. If you're on the lighter side, they've got some great other options. Love the redfish there. The steak Cobb salad, any way you cut it. Just do me a favor. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Check out their full menus. Check out their specials. Football season coming up. I'm telling you, gentlemen, if you want some extra time the first couple weeks of football season, hit the brunch at Bennett's. All three locations, 11 to 2 p.m., 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, $45.99. Hard to top that deal. That will be a good 2 to 3 hours. Good food, significant other, enjoying mimosas, and you watching football. Trust me. But seriously, go check them out. Do us a favor. Let them know that you heard about them here on the channel. When you do, let us know what your favorite dish is as well. And let us know when you go in. And we will let Brian and the team know. Don't forget the Taste of Summer menu that Brian rolled out. Go check that out before it is too late. Bennett'sRestaurants.com for reservations, gift cards. You can put in your orders to go and much more. Big thanks to them for sponsoring today's episode of The King's Court. Okay, we're getting some more in. Jerry Jones, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Jerry Jones, can you imagine the conversations between Jerry Jones and Vivek? That would be great. Colin Hanks, I don't know who that is. Barry Sanders, Lou Ferrigno, Frank Stallone. Okay. Chuck Norris is on there, Paul. Chuck's sitting there, front seat next to carrot seat. You know who I think would be really good, but I feel really bad putting him there, is Will Ferrell. A night of a Will Ferrell night, I would be all down for that. Super down for that. All right, well, keep your Celebrity Rows coming. This thing catches any fire, we'll come back to it. Really quick, hate to go here. Found this really interesting, though, as we get ready to wrap up. It is not Friday. It's not the wrestling day. We will do some wrestling with Adam tomorrow. I don't even know who Clint Howard is. That's a new one. We were all kind of surprised when we got the news of Hulk Hogan passing away. Fairly out of the blue, too. And it was reported, Pam Anderson. You know, I've seen Mike Tyson. Does he bring the tiger, though? Is the tiger coming with Mike Tyson? You know what, though? Mike Tyson might be a conflict of interest because he does sing happy birthday here in the King's Court when it's your birthday to athletes and public figures and such. So I don't know. I'd have to talk to Mike about that.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
So really quick, this is more of a social piece than it is anything. It's not going to be a wrestling segment. We were told, or at least what was reported, was Hulk Hogan suffered cardiac arrest. Yeah, that's true. But we will be probably doing something else that will be on the audio side on this channel. It was reported that he had a cardiac arrest. And so we broke it down. He got his big tribute throughout the following weeks on the shows. But then there was just like some weird things that started coming out. Brooke Hogan, who was apparently estranged from Hulk, but it seemed to be more because, depending on the reporting that you're reading, more because of Hulk's wife than anything else. Phil Collins on drums. There you go. But there was this immediate rush or this immediate statement that Hulk was being cremated, yet Brooke Hogan was going on radio shows and going on the media, she's doing the media circuit, basically saying breaking news. Hold your horses, horse. Horse.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Let me get through my thing. Let me get through my thing. So, Brooke said there was foul play. Today, it comes out, and this has all been reported by TMZ. It's also been reported by Sky Daily that law enforcement sources have confirmed that there was a nurse and an occupational therapist, the Backstreet Boys. All right. Still need to fill up the rest of the row. LOL, he lost his train of thought. Yeah, I did. You got me there. An occupational therapist and also a nurse was at the house when Hulk passed away. And Hulk was not, it wasn't one of those heart attacks where you're grabbing something and you're falling. He was sitting up in a chair and they just realized he wasn't breathing anymore. And if you remember seeing the video of him being wheeled out of the house, there was a ton of officers and first responders around him. Well, according to TMZ, they've confirmed that in the police report, which has not been released, that the occupational therapist believed and was raising questions about the events that led to the cardiac arrest, basically believing and stating to the police they thought that there was medical malpractice that had occurred because Hulk had just had surgery a couple days before. The phonetic nerve is what they call it. I might not be saying that right, but they believe that that possibly was ruptured in that surgery. which makes this all the more bizarre because if you have an occupational therapist that's telling the police this, let's just go from the police side really quick. If you have somebody that's qualified and been treating the patient on a regular basis, oh, dude, Bret Hart, absolutely. Absolutely, Justin. Abso-freaking-lutely. And that's told to the police, then it was enough to make it into the police report, which, by the way, as I say, bizarre, both the police report and all the body cam footage have not been released yet. It's like under lock and key, as TMZ talked about today. Why didn't the authorities order an autopsy? Why did they not have homicide investigators come out? Now, I don't know Florida law. I don't know what triggers that, but I know if something's a little bit off, if there's even a suspicion of any type of foul play, or in this case, medical malpractice, although it did not happen at the house, the surgery, it still should have been enough, theoretically, to say, well, you probably want to have an autopsy. Maybe we should have an investigator come out. And that nerve that they believe was impacted or completely severed, it's the nerve that controls your diaphragm and your breathing. So that's the cop side of things, right? So that's all went on. And Hulk Hogan's wife was in the house. She was around all the same stuff. She told everybody that he was going to be cremated, like immediately. So if you're her, why would you not get an autopsy like right away? If there's any chance that it's medical malpractice, can you imagine the lawsuit that family, the estate of Hulk Hogan, could bring? So there is some really just, there's some weird stuff going on. It appears Brooke banged the drum enough that the body, as of, I believe, last week, still had not been cremated. Unclear on what's going on next, if he will have an autopsy. But the fact that this is under lock and key the way it is and making it into a police report, the fact that both sides, independent sides, the family, I can't say the family, I have to say the next of kin, the wife didn't opt to look into that any further. The authorities appeared to not look into that any further, but it's in the police report. Very bizarre stuff. So if you want to learn more, go to TMZ. They can give you some more on what they think and what they're hearing. But 911 tapes as well have not been sent out, released. So very odd with Hulk Hogan. Somebody today said this is going to be the next Michael. This is similar to the circumstances of Michael Jackson. And while I understand the parallels, I think they're really different. We'll see. I hope that would be a really sad. If any of that's true, that would be a really sad way to have lost Hulk Hogan. I mean, that's major medical malpractice. But then on the flip side, if that is true, why would the family not pursue it and just let it go? It's just a very bizarre situation. So something to keep your eye on for sure. Keep your eye on what goes on there with the Hulkster. We are out. I didn't have enough time. I was going to talk about Urban Meyer, this knucklehead. He decided to weigh in, by the way, on Jim Harbaugh. He thinks the NFL should investigate Jim Harbaugh. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow on the last Monday through Friday live King's Court on the channel. I mean, Urban, I don't think anybody spoke up about your circle of trust, my man, with the Florida team and the murderer. What about you at the bar? Your team's 0-4 and you didn't take the flight home with the team and you're dancing at the bar with a woman that's not your wife, Urban? Did anybody step up and say, hey, Urban's wife needs to divorce him? Any of your fellow coaches? I've got thoughts on it. We'll get into it tomorrow. This guy, he's unsavory to me. He is everything that is wrong with coaching, and that's coming from somebody that likes to play or liked to play for a coach that was hard on you. This guy just doesn't get it. He just sees himself above everybody else, and I think he has got a lot of bad stuff that not many people know about. Yeah, they're grinding.
Yeah, I just apologize to the team and staff and for being a distraction. Just stupid.
Kicking his players, hiring domestic abusers. Crazy. You're going to speak up now? Say Jim Harbaugh should be punished by the NFL? Of all people. Come on. You know what, Irv? I'll get to you tomorrow. I just can't do it. I'm done. I am done with you, my man. All right. That's it. We've only got one more King's Court left, like the live one. We're still here. But we've got one more left. It will be tomorrow. There will not be another live King's Court until after September 2nd, when the Grant Napier Show makes its return here to Sacramento. Fox Sports, SAC 104.7, 890 AM. Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. Grant is back to win. We're taking over Sacramento radio. Book it. Make sure you download the Fox Sports Sacramento app. You can type KSAC into your app stores. Get that going and mark it on your calendar. Again, September 2nd, 3 p.m. Grant is back in Sacramento. The Grant Napier Show, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Because of my responsibilities, I will be heading with him during this time slot. So you will still get the King's Court, just on the audio only. So appreciate y'all. Enjoy Grant tonight. Damn, Celebrity Row flamed out. That was awful. Hey, Rhino. It's off to chat for a while. We have Reverend Hurricane. Oh, really? Interesting. Got the remnants of a hurricane there. Wow. Patrick, don't be that dude that's like on the beach when they shouldn't be on the beach and then gets blown away. Don't be that guy. Haunted Horse had the opposite of that guy on his show. Was it last week when there was flooding and the guy's just doing a live stream? Crazy. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow. We wrap up the live tomorrow. Thank you all. You're the best. We do it one more time tomorrow. But until then, Grant tonight, join him. He'll be taking all of your questions and talking sports. By the way, don't forget, you also have football tonight coming up. You got the Giants and the Patriots. I'm not going to be able to come on with Grant tonight, but somebody, you got to shoot somebody. If you're coming on with Grant tonight, shoot the Russell Wilson, Matt Flynn, Seattle quarterback situation at him compared to what's going on right now with Russ and Jackson Dart. man, I just think it would be such. I think it's better for the team and the fans to start off with the Jackson Dart. He seems like it's not too big for him, and that city is enamored with him. The game doesn't seem too fast. He legit seems ready, and I get it's against preseason competition, but I mean, Russ is not Russ of Seattle. It's a different Russ. So I would love to get Grant's take on that. Maybe we will get that later tonight. Seriously, Patrick, ask that later tonight. All good, dude. We'll be back. Patrick, you live close enough to a boardwalk. I love that. Lucky. All right, we're out. Go Kings. Light the beam. Friday, wrapping up the week. For that, Grant, 7 o'clock tonight. Catch you on the flip side. We out.
Order in the court.